You are a creative person, and as a creator, there is no better feeling than seeing your own art transformed from the digital world to the real world. Printing your photos means you can hang them on the wall at home or give them as a gift to others. The only aspect of our photography that will outlive us are the pictures we print today. And that's why I created this challenge, to help you print your best photos. Welcome to the Print Your Picture 3-Day Challenge. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to have you with me today. This is the 3-Day Challenge to help you print your picture. And this is a really important thing. It's really near and dear to my heart, as you are going to find out, because so often we have all of our pictures just on our phone, on our iPad. They're all up in the cloud. Like, all of our pictures these days are so digital, and we are at such high risk to losing our pictures, and we don't actually take the time to get our pictures and bring them from the digital world into the real world. And that is the whole point of this 3-day challenge. Often with printing our pictures, we know that it takes a little bit of work to get it done. It's kind of a hassle. This 3-day challenge is designed to give you the push and the bump that you need to get your pictures printed. And you will notice the timing of this. It's a perfect gift-giving time. And maybe you want to print your pictures for yourself and hang them at home. Maybe you want to give them as a gift. We're going to go deep, deep, deep into all of that within this 3-day challenge. And let us get rolling on this right now. I'm just going to share my screen, and there it is. And a couple other clicks of my mouse that I need to do, and there we go. So this challenge has a very, very distinct goal. And the goal here is to get your picture printed so that you can see your picture on the wall in your home. It is such an awesome feeling to see your own picture on the wall at home. Like, trust me, I know that picture, or sorry, that feeling so well. It's because you are an artist and you're creating your own art through your photography, and your art needs to be displayed somewhere. And the best place to start displaying it is at home. So your challenge, I am challenging you to print your picture by the end of this 3-day challenge. And I'm going to give you all the tools that you need to do that. But it's not only a picture at home where your picture may end up. Your picture may be perfectly suited to give it to someone. Maybe you want to gift it, and your pictures make an amazingly personal gift idea, especially for that special person in your life who has it all and you don't know what on earth you want to give them. Well, giving your art as a gift is an amazingly personal, handcrafted item that will be appreciated for years and years to come. So what will you take away from this 3-day challenge? Number one, you're going to learn how to select the right photo for printing, because there's definitely a wrong photo that you can select, and I'm going to show you how to avoid every pitfall. Number two, you're going to discover the easy way to edit photos and export them with the correct settings, because you can't just take any old average photo and just upload it to a printing company and expect that you're going to get a good result. I'm going to show you exactly what the settings need to be when you export your photo out of your computer. Number three, I'm going to show you where you can find out where to print high quality photos for the cheapest possible price. We've done a massive research project, and we've come up with an amazing US-based printing company that it'll amaze you how cheap you can get your prints done for. Number four, I'm going to show you the right printing material that is right for your images. Of course, we always have choices like, do I print on canvas? Do I print on paper? Do I print on metal? We'll get deep into that. And number five, by the end of this challenge, you will be submitting your photo to the printing company of your choice. So there's a real purpose to this 3-day challenge. So there are 3 things that you can do to get the most out of this event. I'm doing my best to keep each presentation on the 3 days under 1 hour. So this is not a big time commitment for you. It is definitely going to be time well spent. This is high quality content. So all you need to do is show up every day. You need to take notes at the right times. You need to complete the challenge tasks. They're not difficult, but if you complete the challenge tasks, then by the end of day 3, you'll be printing your favorite image. And of course, by the end of this challenge, you will be printing your picture. Now, if you are new to Photography Academy and you don't even know who I am, you've never heard of me before, my name is Tim Shields. I have been doing landscape photography since I was a kid. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just such an awesome art form. And I'm so honored to have you here with me because I know that you also are a creator and you love your own photographic art just like I do. I am the founder of Photography Academy, and I created Photography Academy to help you to take amazing photos, and in this case, to help you print them. So how did this whole thing begin, this print challenge? And there's a real story to how this all started. And it's important that I tell it so that you can see why this is important to you. So the story actually begins 5.5 years ago. And at that time, I was on a Rocky Mountain photography trip, and I wanted to photograph a place called Spirit Island. And Spirit Island is in the middle of this really, really long lake. It's very, very difficult to get to. It's located 14 kilometers down this long lake, which I think is maybe 8 or 9 miles, something like that. And the only way to get there, if you want to spend the day there on your own, the only way to get there is to bring your own boat or rent a boat, but gas motors are prohibited on this lake. So when I was there, which was June the 29th, 2016, I rented a 10-foot aluminum rowboat. And I also rented a little electric trolling motor. You know, those really slow speed motors yeah, a trolling motor for fishing. So at 4 a.m., I left my truck and camper and I set out in this 10-foot aluminum rowboat with the hope that I would make it to Spirit Island in time for the sunrise. Like, I really, really, really wanted an amazing sunrise photo at Spirit Island. But when I started moving with that little electric trolling motor on the boat, and my boat was really loaded down with all of my gear, I could see that the boat was going incredibly slowly. I mean, it was like 1 mile an hour and totally silent. And I thought, man, I'm never going to get to Spirit Island in time. I'm going to miss the sunrise. So I picked up the 2 oars, like the rowboat kind of oars, and I started rowing as fast as I could with the addition of the push from that little electric trolling motor. And by 5:29 a.m., when I took this picture that you see right here, and wow, what a beautiful morning it was. I was the only person on the lake. The sky was totally clear. The water was calm. It was such a magical morning. And I was starting to get concerned, like, uh-oh, I'm not going to make it in time to Spirit Island to catch the sunrise. So by 6:45 a.m., I could see the sun hitting the top of the mountains. And I knew then that I might not make it in time for the sunrise at Spirit Island. So I rode literally as fast as I could. Like, it was the greatest workout of my life. It was like a life or death rowing fest. I was tired because I'd been rowing for 2 hours and 45 minutes already, but I was spurred on by this most amazing sunset that I could see the sky was setting up for. And then finally, I arrived at Spirit Island. The time was 7:29 a.m. I had been rowing at full speed for 3.5 hours. I beached the boat. I jumped out with my photography pack and I ran onto that beach, set up my camera and tripod as fast as I could. And bam, 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 I started shooting a panorama. And this is the panorama that I shot that morning at exactly 7:29 a.m. And I got that panorama in my camera, like I call it getting it in the can. Like, I knew I had one good pano. And for me, it was a sweet victory. I felt like I had been given a gift with the calm water, no wind, and no other people on Spirit Island. I'm just going to make this just go full screen here. Just got the word. Yes. Thank you for that. So when the sun had risen enough, high enough in the sky, and that golden hour morning light was over, I set up my camera's self-timer for 10 seconds, and then I walked out into the frame of the photo, and then I heard my camera click. I took this photo here, and I just stood there in awe, like just absolutely in awe. And I just like looked up at the sky, like, thank you, God, for this most incredible experience, this most beautiful place that I've ever seen in my life. It was probably the single most memorable and special moment in landscape photography for me in my lifetime. I will never forget it. So fast forward now to 2021. And I had this amazing panorama image sitting in the digital world on my hard drive, and I had never actually printed it. It had been sitting there for it's actually 5.5 years. I've used it in some of my training courses. For those of you who are members of Photography Academy, you've seen this image many times, but this picture had not actually come to life in the real world. So this summer, Leah, my wife, and I bought a new sofa for home, like a couch. And it's called a sectional. It's like a corner sofa. And it was really long. It's 10 feet long. And so because we had this really long sofa, we talked about the fact that we needed a very large picture on the wall above the sofa to match the size of the sofa. And after numerous discussions, Leah and I decided that this Spirit Island photo was going to become the centerpiece in our home. So here it is. Now, this is just a frame grab off of a video, so it's looking more blue than the real photo actually looks. And I printed the photo 8 feet wide and 4 feet tall, and it's on the wall over top of this sofa. Now, that is the size, just to put that in perspective, that's the same size as a full sheet of plywood or a sheet of drywall. It is huge, and it looks absolutely amazing. I just want to show you kind of what it looks like when you actually see, real people sitting there. So yeah, last week I said to Leah, hey, Leah, we need some video just to show us enjoying the picture. And then she said, well, how are we going to do that? I said, I'm just going to put my camera on the tripod and let's just sit here and act like we're really enjoying things. And confession, there's actually nothing in my coffee cup. And we actually didn't know what to laugh at, but we had a lot of fun doing that. So we've got this photo now, 8 feet wide over top of that 10-foot wide sofa. And I feel like it was like the best decision photography wise that we've ever made to put that particular sofa inside the home. So let me just advance here. I just lost my screen. Now, I'm showing you what I would kind of consider to be almost an extreme here. I printed 8 feet wide, and you don't have to think about printing 8 feet wide if you don't want to. I want to show you another option. Now, this is the home office of my sister. Her name is Andrea. She's a principal in an elementary school. She loves photography. She's like a superb iPhone photographer. She documents everything. As an example, she was on her One Wheel, which is like a motorized skateboard that has one big wheel in the middle. She loves her One Wheel. And she was on her One Wheel. She went off a curb. She stubbed the thing, fell over, and tragically she broke her leg. Paramedics came with an ambulance, and she is handing her phone to a stranger and saying, you need to photograph this moment of me getting loaded in the ambulance. So Andrea photographs everything. But what she did, she created a collage of 8 by 8 inch photos that looks fantastic. And yeah, here's the next photo of the same thing. So when Andrea is in her home office, she looks up at those pictures that she loves, and it makes her feel really good inside, which is why we need to print our photos. And notice that most of her pictures are not landscapes. They are portraits. And when I say portraits, I mean photos of people. So she printed portrait photos from events in her life that were fun and happy. And that's why we print our pictures. When we print the right pictures, it evokes positive emotions for us. It brings back good memories, and it reminds us of the good relationships that we have. So I want to show you a couple more examples. So when we talk about different sizes, so here is another small size. This is a canvas print. It'll stand up on its own on a desk. It's 8 by 10 inches tall. And that's an option. You may want something that's just 8 by 10. Here's another example of a 36-inch wide. And this is also a canvas. This is a photo that I took this summer with a few members of our Photography Academy community. Bill Pringle and the Dietrichs, and this is 36 inches wide. And on day 3 of our challenge here, I'm going to show you the name of the printing company that we found based in the US, where I was able to get that 36-inch wide canvas for just $36. It's an absolute screaming deal. So let me move on here. And there we are. Just have a few more mouse clicks. So here's the thing. Printing our photos does involve a little bit of work. Not a lot of work, but a little bit of work. It's a little bit of a hassle. It takes time. It takes a little bit of money. But sometimes we need a kickstart, you know, like a kick in the pants in order to get moving on a project that we know we need to get moving on. Like me with my Spirit Island photo. I had that beautiful panorama, my favorite photo, sitting on my hard drive for 5 years before I got the kick in the butt to get moving and print the thing. So this 3-day challenge is your kickstart. And you're going to be printing at least one of your favorite photos within 2 days. Now, here is the greatest lie that we as photographers can believe, and that is that our digital storage, our hard drives, will last forever. Your hard drives will not last forever. It's not a question of if your hard drive is going to crash. It is really just a question of when your hard drive is going to crash. I, in my lifetime, have lost so many photos over the years. I'm sure that you have lost some of your photos as well. You've heard horror stories of people losing photos. We don't want that to happen to you. Hard drives tend to die about every 4 years. So some of your old hard drives that you maybe have sitting in a cupboard somewhere, they may have already failed and you don't even know it. Also, USB thumb drives, they die often within 10 years or even faster, depending on how much you use that thumb drive. You need a rigorous backup regime to keep your photos long-term. And you might think that you're safe because you back up your photos into the cloud. But think again about the cloud. If you stop paying for your monthly cloud backup, you'll lose your photos. And when you pass on, your kids and your grandkids may not be able to access your photos if it's a subscription, cloud subscription, which they all are. If it gets canceled, if they don't have your password, and also Facebook does not allow people to access the photos of someone who has passed on. So the cloud isn't necessarily the answer. And as I was preparing this presentation, I came to the somewhat shocking conclusion that when I pass on, the photos on my hard drives will likely pass on with me and being lost. So that means one thing. The only photos that will outlive us are the ones that we print today. I'm just going to say that one more time. If you're taking notes, just put this at the top of your page, because this is the reason we're doing this. The only photos that will outlive us are the ones we print today. It's so true. Think of the photo albums that you have sitting on a shelf somewhere. Those photos will live on, but the photos on your hard drive will not. So here's a prime example of a photo that has outlived my wife Leah's great grandparents. So I have this photo here. Check this out. It's like 23 inches. I'm going to go full screen. Let me just get full screen here. And there we are. It's 23 inches tall. And we figure that this photo was taken probably around 1900, maybe even 1899, 1898. So it's like at least 120 years old. And this is Leah's grandparents. And wow, like what a family keepsake that this is. She literally had to wrestle it away from other family members who wanted it, but Leah ended up with it. And your photos can be family heirlooms like that as well. You can create amazing prints that your family will fight over if you follow the steps that I'm about to give you. Here's another example. I've got a couple of 8x10s here. Now, what you're seeing on your screen is a picture of a picture, and I've got two of them just right here. I won't go full size. And I took these pictures 20 years ago. These are 8x10s, and I'm so happy that I printed them in 2003 because I don't have a backup for these photos. If I did not get them printed at that time, they wouldn't exist. So again, the only pictures that will outlive you are the ones that you print today. So how about we get started and print some of your pictures? So here's why your family will love your photography. Printed photos definitely bring back treasured memories. They are a way to preserve your art. It preserves memories of you as a person, and it inspires your family to create their own art. Remember the motto of Photography Academy? It's actually on my shirt here: explore, create, inspire. And that is that when you are creating your own artwork, you will inspire everyone around you to also begin to be a creator. So the question is, do photos make a good gift? And I say absolutely. Artwork is a thoughtful gift for the type of person who has everything. And when photography is given as a personalized gift, it has great meaning to those who receive it. It has so much more value than something that's just purchased in a store. And as photographers, you are putting your passion, your time, your effort into making these images, or you put the time and the effort into digging up old, meaningful photos that you can restore. The right photo, when printed, can be literally the best gift that a person can receive. So you don't want to create a photo that will not get hung on the wall. The last thing you want is to print the wrong picture or print a picture with the wrong export settings, which I'll teach you all about in day 2 of this challenge. So if you're giving your picture to someone, or you're trying to sell your pictures maybe, or you're going to print your picture to hang on a wall at home, and you have more than just you living in the house, then there's a simple system that you need to follow to ensure that you are printing the right picture, that you're not wasting your time by printing the wrong picture. You need to know that the picture that you have chosen to be printed is going to be loved by you and loved by whoever sees it. So let me show you how to do that. 4 years ago, I visited my friend who he is a professional full-time landscape photographer, and he had paid for display space at a very large trade show called the Home and Garden Show. And this is a trade show where at least 100,000 people attend. They buy tickets in advance and they tour the show, and they look for upgrades and decor ideas for their homes. My friend's name is Chris Collicott. You have probably heard of him before, and he's a professional landscape photographer. He prints his own pictures and he sells them at trade shows like this. Chris has sold over 10,000 of his prints, and he has the unique advantage of having talked to literally thousands of prospective customers who are looking for photographic art to hang on their wall. He's been selling prints for over 10 years, and there's no one I know of personally who has more experience in knowing what people want when it comes to the art they want to hang on their own wall at home. So 4 years ago, I visited Chris at the Home and Garden Show, and I was amazed to see about a dozen people at any one time at his booth looking at his photos. And he was making deals. He was selling his pictures at a starting price of $1,500. So I asked Chris, and this is a big point of curiosity for me, what do people look for when it comes to photographic artwork? What are they asking you? What do they want? And he responded back. He said, they're looking for just one thing. And you can summarize it in just 2 words. Here's what people are looking for. They are looking for artwork, photographic artwork that has an emotional connection to themselves. They're not just looking to buy a pretty picture. They're looking to buy a picture that has meaning to them and to their life. So when Chris Collicott has paid for booth space to advertise at the Home and Garden Show in the city of Vancouver, most of the photos that he sells there in that booth are skylines of the city of Vancouver, because the people who are there at that Home and Garden Show have an emotional connection to the city of Vancouver. Here's another example. I live in a small city called White Rock, and White Rock is located on the Pacific Ocean, right where British Columbia meets Washington State. And it's famous for a long pier that juts out into the ocean. Every weekend, this photographer sets up an outdoor display where he sells his photography. I have, of course, asked him, hey, what photos out of your whole collection sell the best? And he told me that his photos of the White Rock Pier sell the best. even though he displays other photos from the Rocky Mountains that look spectacular. The buying pattern of this photographer's booth is such that the people who stroll along that walking promenade beside his booth live in the city of White Rock, and they have the greatest emotional connection with photos from the city of White Rock. Let me give you another example. My wife, Leah, grew up in Copenhagen, Denmark. She moved to Vancouver and White Rock, which they're almost beside each other, when she was 21 years old. And she's lived in White Rock ever since. So imagine if I placed a wrapped print under the Christmas tree for her, and on Christmas morning, she excitedly picks up that wrapped present and unwraps it and then turns it around to look at the picture, and surprise, here is your picture of the Seattle skyline. Isn't it beautiful? I took it myself, Leah. Don't you just love it? Look how sharp those, the images, look at those beautiful color tones. You love it, right? And she wouldn't even know what to say. It would be so awkward. And this is because Leah does not have an emotional connection to Seattle. She didn't grow up there. She didn't go to college there. She didn't get married there. But if instead this wrapped picture of the Seattle skyline was in fact a panorama from Copenhagen where she grew up, then she would be much more likely to love the photo that I just gave her, because she has a deep emotional connection to Copenhagen. And this holds true with most of us. We have emotional connections to the place where we grew up, or the place where we went to school, or the place where we had a very memorable holiday, the place where a big life event happened, or the place where another important family member is from. Now, there's a big exception to this rule, and I call these locations the romantic locations, or the romantic cities. And this is the huge exception to the rule, where the recipient of the photo that you want to give away doesn't necessarily have to have a personal emotional connection to that place. So cities such as Paris, New York, Venice, these are all romantic locations, and they have a worldwide appeal. So, for example, you may have never visited Paris, but you've been watching movies that contain clips from Paris. You've been reading books. You've been hearing about Paris for your entire life. And Paris, maybe even because you haven't been there, although you haven't been there, it may seem like a really cool place, a romantic place, an awe-inspiring place that you would like to visit. And for this reason, photographic artwork from romantic locations, they will withstand that test of emotional connection for most people. Most people, even though they don't have a personal connection to those locations, they will still love a photo from there. Okay, so there are two types of photos that make great gifts. The first are landscapes, and the second are portraits. So let's just take a really quick look at landscapes and the factors that you may wish to consider if you're thinking about printing a landscape. So first and foremost, landscape photos from locations and places that person has been to, the recipient has been to, or if it's going up in your own home, that you went together with your spouse. These are going to be winners. The main thing is you need to know your customer. If you are giving away the photo, consider that recipient to be your customer. If it's going up in your home and you live with other people, then those people are your customers too. So ideas are like cities or locations near the family home, local hiking trails where you've been together, photos of maybe a special family cabin that you have, a cityscape where the recipient grew up in that city, a city where that person went to college, vacation destinations where there was a special vacation that you went to, or those romantic destinations like Paris, Venice, and New York. Then the next category of landscape photos are portrait photos. And how do you find portrait photos that matter? Now, obviously, it's again, know your customer. So it's photos of the kids or of the grandkids, cute baby photos, maybe a special pet that the recipient has or had, parents, a photo where the recipient looks really good in that photo, even if you are in the photo and you don't look really good, as long as the recipient looks really good. Friends that are separated by a distance. And the reason that I chose this photo right here, This is Leah over on the right, and these are her two best friends, and they're all separated by distance around the world. And the three of them absolutely love this photo. It has so much emotional connection to these three people, and it won't have any emotional connection to anybody else. So you want to consider the takeaway, which is emotional connection. Choose a photo that will have a strong emotional connection to the recipient. So what kind of photos are going to be losers? And this would be photos where if the recipient is in the photo, the person you're giving the photo to, if they don't look good, it's going to be a loser. That photo will never be hung up on the wall. Or photos of places that the recipient has no emotional connection to, or photos that don't look good. They're blurry, the color tones are wrong, maybe skin tones look kind of sickly, the resolution is wrong. You want to make sure that the photo that you print on day 3 of this challenge is going to be technically perfect. So where can you find these kind of memories in order to print? So you can go through your older phones. If you still have your older phones or your older iPad, if you still have them, you can go through the hard drives of older computers. And of course, I recommend that if you're going through the hard drive of an old computer, get those photos backed up onto another hard drive and preferably also into the cloud. And even to go through your old paper photo albums. And that brings us to this question. What if the memories that you have are in a physical format? Like what if you have a smaller photo? Is there anything you can do with a smaller paper photo that's literally in a photo album? Yes, there is. You can scan a small photo in high resolution, and you would be amazed the detail that you can bring out from a small photo when you scan it. And then you import it into Photoshop or Lightroom and you do some restoration on it. I recommend, if it's a really important photo, that you get that scanning done professionally, even if you have a scanner at home. And also, if you have old film negatives, you can take in your film negatives to a lab and they will convert your film negatives into digital files so that you can do work on them and then get them printed. So the biggest single question that I get from my Photography Academy students who are thinking about printing a picture is this: how large can I print my photo? This is a huge question, and it's a big mystery for so many photographers. And I'm going to simplify it for you right here because this is a big consideration. Let's just say you have a big wall in your living room and you have a favorite photo in mind and you want to print it. How do you know if after you've printed that photo, the photo will be sharp once it's printed, or if it will be blurry? So this is what you want to do. I should just preface this with one principle. And the principle is, how far away from the printed picture will your viewers be standing? This is a really important thing. So will your viewers be in a living room where they're like 3 feet away from the printed image? Or will they be 8 feet back, 10 feet back? I once had a really small image, like just a regular small camera image, printed on a billboard that was beside the highway. It was printed 40 feet wide from just a 12 megapixel camera. This is like 12 years ago. And from the highway, which was about 75 yards away from the billboard, 75 meters away, the picture looked great. But if you walked up to that billboard, the picture looked absolutely horrible. It was so incredibly pixelated. So the size of the print of the picture that you might print is dependent in part by how close your viewers will be walking up to the photo. So here is what you need to know if you want to print a large photo and if you want it to look sharp from just a few feet away, because it's going to be displayed inside a house. Now, most quality printing companies will print their pictures using a printer that prints 300 tiny little dots of ink inside every square inch of the printed picture. So knowing that number of 300 dots per inch, or DPI, is going to help you solve the riddle of how large you can print your photo and still have it look sharp when you're standing close to it. Now, I know that many printers can print at a much higher resolution than 300 dots per inch, but For most pictures, you will not really notice the difference by going with an even higher resolution. So for the sake of simplicity, let's just go with 300 dots per inch as being a professional resolution that you're going to print at. So here's what you need to do. Step 1, upload your photo into Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever app you use to edit your photos. I use Lightroom Classic because it's the easiest to use, the easiest to learn, and it is incredibly powerful. So step 1, get your photo into Lightroom. Step 2 is to find out how many pixels wide your original image is. So to do that in Lightroom Classic, you just have to press the I key on your keyboard, I for information, and the image size will appear in the top left of the screen. So for my image of Spirit Island, I can see that the image is 12,082 pixels wide. And I'm only looking for the larger number. I'm looking for the long edge. How many pixels wide is this entire image? Now, step 3 is the only time you will ever need to do a little bit of math. This is easy math. Don't lose me here and don't let me lose you. This is very easy and we're going to get through this. So remember, step 1 was upload your picture into Lightroom. Step 2, press I on the keyboard and find out how many pixels wide your image is. Now we get to step 3. It's this bit of math. So in fact, here's what we know as fact so far. Fact number 1, my image is 12,084 pixels wide. Fact number 2 is that the printer I'm going to use prints at 300 dots per inch. So here's the easy math. I take that number, the width, 12,084 pixels, divided by 300 dots per inch, and my answer is 40. And I know that that's going to be inches. 40 inches. So I know that the native resolution, once my picture is printed, is 40 inches wide. So really, that was not difficult math, was it? So I now know as a fact that my printed picture can be printed 40 inches wide at the full native resolution. But now is the question, how wide can I really print it? Can I go bigger than those 40 inches wide? Can I go larger than the native resolution? And the answer is yes. As kind of a general rule where you're not going to get into any trouble at all, you can generally print 3 times larger than the native resolution and your photo will still look good. So in my case, I know that the native resolution is 40 inches wide. I can go 40 times 3 times larger equals 120 inches. I know with confidence I can print my Spirit Island photo 120 inches wide and it will still look good. Now let's go back to what it actually looked like. So here I had actually printed it 96 inches wide. It is incredibly sharp. Like I can walk up to 8 inches away from that photo and look at the detail. It's so sharp. There is no pixelation on the hard edges. So I know that I could have printed it even larger. I easily could have gone up to that 120 inch kind of limit. Can you go even further? Can you go 4 times larger? Well, that's where things start to get a little bit experimental. But as a general rule, just remember you can print 3 times larger than the native image size. Let's look at one more example to determine how large we can print a picture from this Sony a6400 mirrorless camera. So I have this camera. I use it a fair bit for shooting our video. And the specifications on this camera are super simple. It has a 24 megapixel sensor, but I don't really need to know that. It doesn't really factor into my calculation here. All I want to know is how many pixels wide will the image files be? How many pixels along the long edge? So here's what the image on this camera looks like. It is 6,000 pixels wide on the long edge and 4,000 pixels tall on the short edge. This gives a 3:2 aspect ratio, which will come in handy to know later because it will help you determine the aspect ratio of the finished print that you can print. But for now, while I'm just figuring out the maximum size that I can print, all I need to know is how many pixels are on the long edge. And for this camera, that number is 6,000 pixels on the long edge. So here's our simple math again. If you're printing at 300 dots per inch, which is that normally accepted and professional print resolution, we can take the number of pixels on the long edge, which is 6,000, and divide it by 300. So 6,000 divided by 300 is 20 inches. So we know the native resolution of our printed picture is 20 inches. So how large can I print it? If I take a photo with this Sony mirrorless camera, how large can I have a print on paper and still have it look reasonably sharp? So we use that ×3 rule. So I had 20 inches of native resolution times 3 equals 60 inches. So I would be pretty confident that I can print a 60-inch wide print from my Sony mirrorless camera, and it will still look reasonably sharp even if I'm walking up quite close to the image. Can you print bigger? Yes, absolutely. You can print bigger, but the larger you print, the less resolution you will have, and your printed picture will not look as sharp. There are also some tools. There are extra programs made by a company called Topaz. There's also a new feature inside of Lightroom that allows you to expand images and magnify them even more and try and retain sharpness. But I'm just going with the tried and true, easy to remember formula here, and that is that you can usually print up to 3 times larger than the native resolution of your printed image. So we are coming to the end of day 1. I told you that I was going to keep it to with under an hour, and I have. So here is your challenge today, and I am truly challenging you to do this challenge. Take the action on it. So 1, find an image that you want to print for yourself or you want to give it as a gift. You're going to use the principles that I talked about today, emotional connection. Maybe it's going to be a landscape, maybe a cityscape, maybe it's a portrait photo. Decide which one you're going to work on so that you're going to be printing this in 2 days. Number 2, create a response to this video. There's a post inside the Photography Academy Facebook group, and post your photo as a response, as a comment to this video post inside the group, and tell everybody why you're printing this. If there's a story connected with the photo, why it means something to you or why it means something to somebody else, then print it in there and tell us why this is an important photo. So once again, don't create a brand new post, just comment on this post that has the video. So here's what you're going to learn on day 2. Number 1, you're going to learn how to post-process your photo the right way for printing. You're going to learn how to export your photo with the correct settings for print. And number 3, how to crop your photos into the right format for print. And then on day 3, you're going to learn how to choose the right printing materials. And I'm talking about like paper, metal, aluminum, or canvas. Number 2, how to select the right framing options. And number 3, I'm going to give you the name of the least expensive and highest volume print company in the USA. We conducted actually here at Photography Academy a massive research project. We're looking for the name of a company that we can give you. We don't have any connection with them, so that you can save money. And like I showed you that print right here, in case you're just coming in late, this print here, let me just go full screen on my, let me just go full screen here. There we go. This print is 36 inches wide, and it's on canvas, and it cost $36 to get printed, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to give you the name of the print company where we got this printed. It can be a real mystery knowing which print company to deal with, but this print company has worked out really, really well for us. And on day 4, so this Friday, I'm going to be hosting a live group coaching session, and I'm going to be answering any and all print-related questions. This is available if you are a member of Photography Academy Prime. And will there be recordings? Yes, there will be recordings of this 3-day challenge. We're going to keep the recordings online only for 3 days, but if you're a member of Photography Academy Prime, you will have unlimited access to the recordings in the members area. So what is Photography Academy Prime? Well, it's a new membership that we have created where you get access to a whole bunch of training and tools that will help your photography in a very big way. You get access to 130 different training videos. You get full access to the Photography Academy library, including new access to my newest book, What Camera Should I Buy? This is not being released yet. You also get tools for Photoshop, such as brush sets where you can add effects to your photos. Like in the top right there, you can add in clouds or add in snow, add in a moon. Also sky replacement, where if you have a photo with a boring sky, you can drop in a different sky. And again, we're creating photographic art here. And Photography Academy Prime includes all of these tools. So Photography Academy Prime is a membership. You can pay monthly at $19.99 a month, or if you pay annually, your payment would be down to $16.42 a month. So that is Photography Academy Prime. If it's something that you would like to take a look at, then there should be a link in the chat somewhere. In any case, if you visit photographyacademy.com, you will see that there's a link on the homepage. So thank you for joining me on day one of this Print Your Picture 3-day challenge. I will see you on day 2, where I'm going to be going deep into the actual settings that you need for your picture, so that you can export your picture with the perfect settings just for print. So I will see you on day 2. And once again, this recording will be online for the next 3 days, or if you're a member of Photography Academy Prime, you will have unlimited access to it. Thanks everybody for joining me, and please do the challenge. Select your photo, post it in the Facebook group, the Photography Academy Facebook group. I really look forward to seeing what you have chosen. Bye-bye.